Hi everyone, I'm Víctoria Mohanna from Argentina. This is my channel CULTURA ARTÍSTICA Slovena. And as usual, I'm going to interview an artist from Slovenia. So in this case, we are going to interview Jana Putrle Srdić. She's from Liubliana and she is the poet. She wrote 4 poetry books and 1 novel, which is the one we are going to talk about today. And she visited us this year presenting this book, which was translated by Julia Sarachu. Julia Sarachu is a translator from Argentina that she mostly translates books from Slovenian writers. And this one is called Por la llanura, bajo el cielo in Spanish. I think you hear. Well, it's the first novel she wrote, and she's going to talk about this more deeply. But it's a story that happens in Patagonia, here in Argentina, and has a lot of connection with nature, and also it's a little bit connected, like how we relate with technology and how we ignore a little bit nature and how we relate with it. So I really recommend you to read it if you can read this book. Also, next year is going to be able in English. So stay tuned. So welcome, Jana.
Hello.
How are
Hello.
you?
Yeah.
It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for your invitation.
No, it's a pleasure for me having you here. Well, I kind of did a research on the internet about you, and I didn't find a lot. Obviously your work, but not a lot like other kind of information that maybe I would like to know. So
Oh, you mean, yeah. You can ask anything, so.
it's about your career mostly. So how did all the writing started? Like maybe not professionally, but maybe in your life, like then you become professional.
Oh, yes. Well, I had grandfather who was a bookbinder. He worked in publishing house, like our largest publishing house in this department for printing. So we always had this huge amount of books at home. And my father was reading like crime novels all the time. So I was kind of just surrounded by books and by people reading. And I think I started very early. I remember I knew our, famous romantic poet France Prešeren, and I knew his sonnets by heart very early, and I'm not sure why. I don't know that I don't have this knowledge anymore, but as a child, maybe the rhyme and the rhythm was really attractive for me. So then I was reading quite often also in the attic of our, when we went to the seaside, we also had an attic full of books, and yeah, just, reading all the time. And I think I started to write in primary school, just some poems and maybe some short stories, but I never considered being a writer professionally, I think, until very much later. So I had this desire. I mean, yeah, in secondary school, I published a book of poems. I remember that. I would not like to read them again right now. I don't consider this to be my first book, although it is actually. So obviously already the school was in a way supporting me, with publishing it. And I think my great desire was to be published in Literatura magazine, our kind of our known literary magazine in Liubliana. And that happened when I was a student, maybe at the beginning of university. And I think this was a big change for me, just like a big achievement. The first achievement are the sweetest, like first real publishing and then first book. Yeah, you never forget that feeling. So that was basically at the university. I think I began thinking about writing more, being published more, and also writing a book, because quite early Brane Muzetić from Center for Slovenian Literature, he invited me to publish my first book with him. It took a while before it came out, because I just had to collect poems, write more, and shape a book. But that was the start, basically. I was never really searching for a publisher. And yeah, then I published 4 poetry books before I got totally tired of poetry, even if I love poetry still. I think it's the motor of the language. I think it's really most difficult writing in a way. Once you're very good in writing poetry, I mean, very good. Once you're, kind of published poet and so on, I think you can do all the other texts, from applying for jobs to prose writing to of course prose is quite different, but I still think that poetry demands a huge amount of feeling and energy and capability in language and reading and learning and write. So it's really very, very condensed knowledge and skill and mental effort in poetry. Yeah. That I answered a little bit more than you asked.
It's perfect. Yes, I understand, like the first achievement is like something like cheers you up and make you believe in yourself. Yeah, Brandy Muzetić has been here. Now at the end of the year is going to be here to visit us. What was that book that you made with him?
You mean the first book?
Yeah, that you wrote next to him.
The first book in Slovenian with him was Kutine, but also all 4 books were published by Center for Slovenian Literature. I had no reasons.
Oh.
No reason to change the publisher, basically. And he also published my first novel, the one that was now published also in Spanish by Julia Sarachu, translated by Julia Sarachu, and published by Gog y Magog. So that was this year, and Brane and me were supposed to come to Buenos Aires to promote the book, also in Cordova, but Brane got ill, so he's coming a bit later this year. But also the first time when we were reading in Buenos Aires, which is like 10 years ago or even more, we were in your city together. So that was a nice experience.
Yes, what I was going to tell you about all you told me before about like all the skills that you write poems. I see in your work, not because I'm talking to you, but I really like it. I'm not much like a lot of readings, but I read a lot of poetry, and the way you write is like too much feelings. Like is the mind of a person like overthinks a lot. That's what I see.
You mean too much thinking or too overcrowded with images or something else?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you mean like poetry feels like overthinking, thinking too much, or the images in poems being overcrowded or something else?
I feel it like it's like the mind of someone who overthinks a lot, like can see the details of everything, and I don't know, captivates like how others feel. I don't know, little details. That I really like that because I am like a little that way. I don't know if I feel it very close to me, even though in the novel I feel a little about that also. Like I can I can be in the mind of the of Hannah most of the time. Like sometimes I feel Hannah, and that's doesn't happen with every book, and it's
Oh,
really good.
that's great. I mean, I'm very happy for that. I'm very happy for each reader that could kind of be in her skin, and that is the best thing, of course. I as me as a writer, I don't need anything more than, people to feel it when they read it. Yeah, I am a person of details, I notice details first, and this is, I don't know if it's good or bad. In my work, it's often bad because these days you need to be very superficial and quick and just pick up what's important and not deal with details. So at work, this is not a good good way to progress and to accomplish things quickly. But in writing, I don't know, maybe it's good. I mean, it's well, anyway, we all should be free to live in whatever mind mode we are, operating and feeling like it's our own mode. I think that living among details and noticing small things is can actually be good, and it's, yeah, it's the way some of us think.
It's like being more present.
Well, oh, this
I don't know.
this this is
I
another
mean,
thing.
in the
Yeah.
insights.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not present enough actually. It's in my own life, and going a little bit in Buddhist practices, and lately I think I'm living way too much in my mind, and which is possibly also which a lot of us do, this is how we operate, but a lot of it has to do probably with reading books, exactly. Although I think that books were the ones who taught me how to live and how to think, and how to feel through other beings, because in books you have so many different worlds of other people, of other creatures, and you can switch between them, and that was always very interesting for me. You're never bored if you have all these different personalities that live through the books. You get to know different views, so in that way you become quite democratic in your views, because you understand that this is just many views are just you can switch them. None of them is objectively completely real. You understand that different views are only views. They are not truth as it is, as reality as it is. But I also feel that yeah, too much thinking is not actually being present, and yeah, I try to meditate and be more present.
I agree with all that. Yes.
Mm.
It's like maybe it's being more present, but for me, right, in the inside, and sometimes the reality that's around us, we don't see it. But there's that you say about like being knowledge about the amount of realities that the people has, and none is actually real, or the one that has to be. Not everyone noticed that. A lot of people think that there is one reality and things has to be done in one way, and there are no other options. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think actually now I'm thinking that being present also actually means that you react in a certain situation the way you feel. You can feel very close to the situation, and if you don't have too many mind constructs in your mind, you know how to perceive the reality. If the reality you're perceiving is very direct, you know, and you just act according to what you feel at this moment, you know. I think this is a sort of nice approach, you know, to reality. But of course, thinking is also very useful, you know, and we can read and write books, and we can have all these mind worlds and constructs. But as long as we are aware that these are just the constructs, they are not reality itself. So they're just something we invent in our minds, you know, like I invented the novel, you know, and this is just basically my imagination, and it connects to Argentinian reality in a novel, but in a way it's also just a construct in my mind. So yeah, it has to be taken with some distance, you know.
And tell me, how was for you to write a novel when you were all these years writing poetry?
Well, it was a very momentary idea to write it. I didn't think a lot. I wrote 4 poetry books, and I should be beginning to write the 5th one. And I realized I have no joy with it. You know, I was just a bit sick of my own poetry, not poetry in general, but just writing poetry. It felt a bit of like a drag, you know, not really a joyful thing to do, like something I'm forced to do because I'm a poet, you know, I'm expected to write one more book. But then I got this idea about the novel, which happened very quickly, like in a day or two. And then I needed a week to just think it over in my head, you know, what should it be about, and to kind of imagine this journey that I actually did. Part of this journey I did in my real life, as it was described in a book. But then to think of a story, a different person, a happening, love story, and all this. I came up with this in maybe 1 week, and then I just started to write. I was on New Year's vacation, so I could write for, I think, almost a month. I was just writing every day. So that was it, you know, it was very simple. But also I needed to learn about prose, which is a completely different, I mean, as I said before, when you write poetry, you also kind of have very good starting point to master all the writing, I think. But still in prose, there are some major differences. Like you need to learn how to write in like car in neutral, you know, not like just certain fourth gear, you know, like very compact like in poetry, but you need to put it in neutral and some passages in writing, some longer passages like page after page, maybe 10 pages, can be just story evolving on its own without much condensed happening or condensed thoughts. You know, you need to do more easygoing writing than it. In poetry, you're used to doing everything very condensed, and you can tell a lot just in 2 lines of poetry. But here you need to sort of invite the reader to slowly fall into the writing and follow you, and not to exhaust him in the first 3 pages. And I was thinking, you know, you need to invite the reader to feel the mood, you know. If a novel is a house and you're inviting somebody in your house, they need to feel the mood, they need to enjoy the walk through the house and enjoy the staying, you know. Not they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be tired too quickly, you know. Although, of course, you have novels that are very, very intense. And I think that I didn't really do a good job in that sense, you know, to write passages that would just flow on their own without. I think I was very condensed in a novel, to be honest. You know, I think maybe then if I would write another one, it should be a bit different, I think. But the learning curve through this novel, which is very short. The novel has, I don't know, 150 pages, something like that. And the stories, maybe I should tell a bit about the story, or
Yes, no problem.
no, just in short, the story is a travel, in a way, a travel novel, because this was easy for me to imagine, you know, a person who travels from Liubliana to Argentina, and then in Argentina she meets people in Buenos Aires, and they took a trip together to Patagonia and to Terra del Fuego. So that's basically the outline. This travel is the outline, and the novel finishes in Terra del Fuego. So in between, what happens is she at first, well, one line of the story is her past relationship with her lover, a man who dies at the beginning of novel, and just mourning him and getting over his death is also a trigger to go to Argentina. And part of the novel is happening in the past when he was still alive, and is kind of telling about their relationship, their mostly erotic sexual relationship. There is another love story with Victoria, who Hannah meets Victoria in Argentina. So there is this female lesbian love story. And they basically stay together until the end of the novel. We don't know what happens next. Their relationship is not a sort of a fairy tale relationship, or very it's not like a classical romance. It has its problems, but they're kind of, despite the problems, they're in different cultures, they're still kind of bind together and attracted to each other. So that's another love story. And then you have also one line that tells about Hannah's childhood. And there is also a line which tells about animals and landscape in Argentina and weather. And so this last one is really important to me, because when I was thinking about the novel, non-human beings, animals, plants, weather, and landscape were basically very important. I wanted to share this attitude with natural world. I wanted to kind of enhance it in a book. I wanted it to speak for itself. So this relationship with natural world was really, I think, the core of my novel. And that's why also Argentina and Patagonia, of course, are very perfect for for my goal, because the land there is still so unpopulated and partly just wild, and just being there feels completely different from what we are usually surrounded in our human world in cities and so on. So that is a sort of outline of the novel. Yeah. Do you have, did I answer? What was the question?
Perfect. Oh, I really love the novel. Like the changes where, I don't know, there is a situation she's living, and one moment to the other it starts to mix into a memory that from her dead partner or her life in Liubliana. And that changes in the story. I really like it, and I think you did a good job, because it flows really nice and through the whole novel. And that you also say about the connection with nature and with animals and behavior of a person, of an animal, and how it becomes one or compares in one thing, act the same, or yeah, that like we are the same in the end. We can say we are not, but that the fusion with the nature and ourselves in the present, that maybe we are not very aware of how nature and animals and all work. Maybe people who live, I don't know, in Patagonia or places like that, where there is not much people, they aware, but people who lives in the city may not. So it might be very different for a person who lives in the city to read the novel than for someone who lives in a place like that. Maybe they have the connection. And I see that in your works, you do that about comparing nature or with the people or mixing it. And that, what about nature with you?
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's totally true that I think people who live outside of cities are much more aware of, just the landscape, the weather, the wind in Patagonia, or you know, you need to go, basically physically go through nature to come from one place to another. You're dependent on the weather, on the sea, on the so this element is of surrounding that is not human, is much more present, and yeah, you just sometimes you need to spend a day without even meeting people, just being quiet and being with your surrounding, which is a perfect way, you know, to become one with reality, basically, because if you're all the time surrounded with people like we are in the cities, first you have a feeling that human world is all that exists, which is totally not true. We are just communicating with other people, and some people who are not even close to, don't have dogs, they're not close to animals, they just forget that anything else exists but a bunch of people around them. So it's really good to be reminded that we live on this planet with other beings, and we share everything with them. And I also wanted to write about nature in the cities, other beings in the cities. So that's why I wrote about the crow and the cats and birds and all these animals that also live in the cities, but are kind of half invisible to us if we're not actually observing. There are many animals in the cities, but we just usually don't notice them. And they are used to living with us. They react to people, they live with us, but we just think that we are alone. Yeah, so it's yeah, I wanted to tell a story about animals in the cities and landscape outside of cities, and I also wanted some beings to speak for themselves, like the fox, the fox and her cubs, which is like the main protagonist beside Hannah is the fox. But of course, I cannot know how it is to be a fox because I'm a human. I just try to kind of come as close as possible in my human nature to understand how a fox would function, and actually the thinking, the thoughts of a fox and the feelings and the smells and everything. So I tried to write a bit differently in words about the fox. This was a little bit experimental in a novel. But otherwise, as you say, there are many switches. Like I was writing in segments, didn't want linear writing. I didn't want linear story telling. But I did these segments that switch from past to present and from Hannah's thoughts to her past and to animals and so on. So this is a little bit like poetry, like you have different images in my poems that switch between images, but also in a novel you have different segments that put you in different places, and they can be very short, like half a page, or maybe there are 2 pages, and then I switch to something else. But I'm just hoping, as you said, that it's kind of intuitive the way these segments fit together, so that they're still telling a story in general, only not in a linear way. I hope that they come together and that the reading is not too difficult.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't difficult to read. It's like you don't expect that. I think it's not very normal that in books, and that makes it very interesting.
Yeah, actually, a lot of French writers. I mean, there are a lot of LGBT gay writers. That's what I know because Brane is publishing in his LGBT publishing house. He's publishing many writers around the world. And some of them write in that way. So it's not like I'm inventing something completely new. And there is also this French writer, Pascal Quignard, and his novels are written in that style. But also many others. So it's not, I think it's even becoming more popular, these days. It's not so rare to see these segments in novels these days. Yeah.
You know more than I do. So if you say so, it must be that way. I have to read more. So who is your inspiration? Maybe more for the novel writing.
Quignard, his book, what is it called? In Slovenian is, I think, Skrivno življenje, Secret Life. I don't know in English. But he wrote several novels. And when I was reading him, I saw this style of paragraphs and switching from one scene to another. Although his writing is much more philosophic. So when Brane was reading my novel, he said, "Oh, there's too much philosophy in it for me." but maybe somebody else will like it, you know. But comparing to Pascal Quignard, his novels are really full of philosophy, you know, just thinking about things. And he also wrote this famous book that is called Hatred Towards Music. I'm not sure if this is the English title. Sovraštvo do glazbe is in Slovenian. So he comes from a family of musicians, and he explains this hatred that he carries towards music, especially towards melody, you know, which is something very interesting because melody is more something that Western musicians do, but you have other atonal way of music. But anyway, I won't go into that, but he's explaining a lot about that in his books. But for myself, I was just when I read this Secret Life, I was thinking, oh, okay, this is something that I could do, you know, because these short paragraphs with switching in between seem to me almost like poetry, you know. You just need to sort of widen your lines in poetry, you know, make them a bit longer, and you get a paragraph, and then you switch from one line to another in a poem. You can also switch from one segment to another in a novel. So I was thinking, okay, I can do that, you know. And yeah, so that what gave me the first idea. But there are many writers that I like. I don't know, for example, one of my favorites is definitely Coetzee, Michael Coetzee, who used to live in South American Republic, but I think he's now moved to Australia. So his Life and Times of Michael Kay was the book that changed my life, I think. Then I don't know, there are so many. But right now, for example, in the last years, I'm reading Rachel Cusk, who's also her style of writing is very individual and specific, and that's what I like in books, you know, very individual style of writing that might seem difficult, but it's also a joy for the brain to read it, you know. It's a joy to like I used to enjoy a lot Xavier Marias, the Spanish writer, and Bernhard, the Austrian writer. They both have very specific styles of writing, and this is obviously what I enjoy a lot. And in the last years, there is also Miranda July. She's American writer. I think she's very good. Her All Fours is the last novel. It's also became quite known in these last 2 years. So I like her style of writing, and she's very funny and smart. And so I'm reading a lot of women lately, women writers. Or I always used to read a lot of LGBT books, you know. So I think everything that is more not mainstream is for some reason very close to me, you know. It doesn't, it's either, it can be gay, it can be some sort of outsiders, you know, something that is not, doesn't belong to mainstream literature and just classical love story, or I think I feel very close to marginal literature. Well, this is, you know, it's a personal taste. I can always, of course, recommend things, but we need to find what clicks with us, you know. But yes, they're all very good writers. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all that. And about the translation, I have the book here. When you came a few months ago, you were Julia Sarachu. So she did a translation. Or how does it work? How she ended up translating it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think Brane recommended the book because it is about Argentina, and it is a lot of my experience from my first visit in Argentina is in the book. So Brane knew that Julia would be interested in that sense. There was also another woman who was interested in translating it and publishing it somewhere else, but Julia was very quick with this, so I just gave it to her, Yeah.
About anything can happen. This one. If this book was the one you presented when you came here 10 years ago.
Yes, it's a selection from my poetry. But these are very early poems. I think some of them are not even published in any of Slovenian books. So yeah,
Okay.
maybe not my favorite selection.
Okay, we don't talk about that one though. Okay, so if people want to buy your book here, can talk with Gog and Magog, right? Or Julia.
Yeah, they can buy it online. You can order it online with Gog y Magog.
Oh, okay. If people wants to buy this one, is in other countries besides here and Slovenia?
Oh, you mean if they can buy it elsewhere?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if they can buy it in South America, this same book in South America in Spanish. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I think they actually went with this book to Mexico, and maybe they will go to Chile. So hopefully some people will buy it from other countries also in South America. But next year we will publish it in United States, so all the English speaking people around the world can order it in English from the next year.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. How is the translation going?
Well, I don't know. I would have to ask Roli. Grau is our very good translator to English. I'm very honored to be translated by him. He comes from Baltimore, I think, but he has been living in Slovenia already for 20 years.
Oh.
He's also a gay person, which is what I like for the translator, to have this feeling for minorities, and also because this novel is also LGBT. Yeah, I mean, just other writers that I know also mentioned he's really the best in for translating from Slovenian, because as you know, not so many people speak Slovenian and can translate it into their first language, into their mother language, which is what we usually wish, that translator is somebody who translate into his own language, her own language. Yeah, not many people around the world speak Slovenian, so it's really difficult to get translators. This is a real problem, how to translate a small language such as Slovenian into other world languages. It's not the same way with Spanish and with English, because there are really huge worldly languages, but Slovenian is, yeah, it's another story. So we are always cherishing the translators, and I'm cooperating with several of them for English. And yes, we have I have established some good relationships with translations, with short stories or with poetry. So Rolly is now translating. I think he should be finished in September because he's supposed to give in the text. Anyway, he should be finished with the book in September, and we have this timeline, that lasts a year before the book is published. Also, the designing the book, the editing, the everything that comes with it. It's a small publisher for basically for romance, but they will promote the book as maybe literary romance in that style. But I'm very happy that we kind of got together. It was completely, they didn't know me. I was just applying at their publishing house and sending them part of my writing, and they decided on instinct to publish it. So this is a very nice story for me, and I am very happy that we are in such a good relationships, and this collaboration is really two-sided, and it's one of the best that I had in publishing so far. So yeah, I'm very happy with it, and let's just see what happens.
Well, I think that is going to bring you a lot of good things. And it's nice that you have him doing the work. And I know that it must be a real problem about translations from Slovenian to another languages. And I hope more people learn the language.
Yes, I mean it's a small language and it's really difficult to learn. So yeah.
I was asking you if you were going to travel to the United States when the book is done, the translation.
So we're just taking this American book step by step. We signed a contract. Uh, um, we had to apply for funds for the translator, and they are also paying me as an author, which is not something that happens very often, with books that are not bestsellers, that publisher would pay you, even before they start selling the book. And
Okay.
we're just for now we're just taking step by step. So now we are dealing with the design. I think at the end of the year there is some online promotion already ahead, and in these days publisher want to sell the book in advance, even before it comes out. They're very eager to have they can show some selling even before the book is out. So when it's out, I definitely hope to travel to US in the same way I went to Argentina. So we have support from YAG, from our book agency, and we can travel to present our work abroad. So, but we haven't talked about it yet. So we'll see what happens.
Oh. Oh, I'm very happy for you. Congratulations on that, all you're achieving. And I hope you can come back here. That would be great. Maybe we can meet again.
Yes, Argentina is definitely my favorite, and I really want to go to Patagonia more, and also to Chile and Patagonia, and just south of Argentina. And yeah, it's a beautiful country. It's so huge, comparing to Slovenia. So there's always a lot more to see.
Yes, even me that I live here, I don't know. a lot of places. I never traveled to. For example, I don't know Patagonia. I never been there.
But maybe you will, or you have a wish to go.
Yes, of course, but it's kind of expensive. That's a truth. For me, it's expensive. So maybe I will go.
Also, like a trip, the way I would like to do it is with the bus. Also, if you take a bus, those buses are also expensive.
Oh, okay. It's a lot of hours, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it have to take a lot of time. I think traveling with the bus, at least, several weeks, maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't know how much. A couple of days, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend from Slovenia who went with the bus down the eastern coast of Argentina to Terra del Fuego and then up on the Chilean side. So this is exactly what I would like to do.
Oh, you will have a great time if you do it. I know it's beautiful. Well, you've been there, but Chile is also very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say anything else about the book or something I didn't ask you?
No, I think we have been talking for an hour, so it's fine with me.
I am sorry this didn't work as well as I expected. It was my mistake by doing it through the phone.
Oh, no problem.
Don't
worry.
Well, I think I'm gonna leave you because I know it's late, and I also have to go to my Slovenian class.
Yeah.
I would love to keep listening to you and talking. Fuck.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm really very glad that I was able to see you again and talk to you again, and that was very nice. Thank you.
No, I thank you for your time, for letting me in, making the interview, and to have this moment. I really like to talk to you. You're very interesting. And yeah, I hope we see you again and we keep in touch.
Yes,
And it was very nice to meet you in person.
yes. Let's keep in touch, and I hope to see you in Slovenia also. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Kisses.